I was verbally abused by netizens, soaring straight to the top of the trending searches. All because my biological parents appeared on an immoral TV show, accusing me of not supporting them, of refusing to take them to the hospital when they were sick. They said I didn't care if they lived or died. The internet was filled with curses, but I didn't regret it. If I could, I honestly wished they would just die. Right, I was an orphan with living parents. When I was 5, they divorced, and neither wanted to raise me. At that age, I shouldn't have had so many memories, but I remember clearly. That night, I hid in my room, listening to them argue in the living room. Just divorce, give the child to you, I need to remarry. I agree to divorce, but I can't raise a child. You want to remarry, so am I not allowed to find a husband? But what now? If I take the child, what woman would want to live with me? How can you be so selfish? If it's inconvenient for you to remarry with a child, do you think it'll be easy for me? It was then I realized I wasn't a treasure in my parents' hearts. I was just a burden they wanted to discard because neither would take me. Eventually, the court ruled they had to take turns caring for me. But in reality, they didn't care for me at all. They dumped me with my maternal grandmother. After that, they didn't care if I lived or died. When I was 8, my grandmother passed away. They were forced to take turns, each caring for me for 1 month. I became a hot potato, shoved from one person to another. I thought I was already miserable enough, but I didn't realize it would get even worse. Both parents had remarried. My stepfather brought a son, and my stepmother brought 2 daughters. No matter whose house I was in, I never had a room of my own. At my biological mother's house, I slept on a makeshift bed made of rotten wooden crates in a storage room, like a dog's den. That was my bed. At my biological father's house, I always slept on the sofa. I was bullied by my stepsister's son. He used a lighter to burn my hair, so I fought with him. As a result, my mother beat me within an inch of my life. Feeling forlorn, I sent a message to my father. This was an old phone my grandmother bought me when she was alive. Dad, can I come see you? I miss you so much. Isn't it your mother's turn to take care of you this month? Why are you looking for me? If you come, your stepsister. She's playing in the living room, it'll be very inconvenient. They won't be happy, you understand, right? Yes, I understand. Then I'll come see you next month, okay? Don't text me if there's nothing important. I'm very busy. I'm going out with your stepsister now. Be a good girl and listen to your mom. I didn't reply. At that moment, I was so helpless, so weak, with no one to protect me. I curled up in the storage room, crying silently, pulling the blanket tight, not daring to make a sound, because I knew if I made noise, I'd be beaten again. Days dragged on like years. Finally, it was my turn to go to my father's house. I always thought my father was a hero, a guardian angel in every child's heart. All my tiny hopes for family affection were placed on him, but reality always plunged people into despair. Dad, it's my turn to stay at your house this month. I'm already in the car, almost at your building. My suitcase is a little heavy. Can you come down and pick me up? I asked tentatively. Why didn't you tell me in advance? I'm preparing to go to the countryside with your stepmother and stepsister. It's not convenient for you to come. Besides, if you come, I'll have to explain to your stepmother. I don't want to argue. I have a new family now, you keep looking for me. It's very awkward. I will never forget that feeling, time and time again, the longing for family in my heart being trampled, the pain of being crushed. But Dad, I'm already here. Mom said it's my turn to stay at your house this month. A long time passed, and my father still didn't reply to my message. I had no choice but to message my mother. Mom, Dad said he went to the countryside. I can't get into the house. Can I stay at your place for a few days? Once again, I had to beg my mother. This month is your father's turn to take care of you. If he's not home, ask him for money to rent a hotel and wait for him to come back. Don't run back to me for every little thing. I was like a ball, kicked back and forth between them. Dad, then can you transfer some money to me? I'll rent a hotel nearby and wait for you to come back. I'm standing downstairs at your house now. This time, my father replied very quickly. Do you think making money is easy? All day long, all you know is asking for money. Does money fall from the sky or something? You don't understand anything. My father seemed very impatient. Dad, you just need to transfer 200 yuan to me. I'll wait for you at a hotel. It's raining outside. I have nowhere else to go. Go back to your mother's house immediately. I'm busy. Don't text me anymore. I didn't even have 1 yuan left to take the bus back to my mother's house. I could only drag my heavy suitcase, wandering the streets in despair. With no other option, I called my grandmother, meaning the stepmother or the other grandmother, as my maternal grandmother passed away. But no matter how many times I called, no one answered. Night fell, my clothes and shoes were soaked, I could only keep calling. Finally, the phone was answered. But what echoed in my ear was a voice filled with extreme irritation and shouting. I already said I'm busy, and you're still calling. Why are you so inconsiderate? I choked back a sob, but I truly had no other choice. I was too young. I could only beg the people who gave birth to me for help. Dad, it's getting dark. I'm still out on the street. Can you lend me a few tens of yuan? I'm so hungry. All you know is begging for money. Do you think I'm a bank? You can't even do something as simple as finding your way back to your mother's house. I also have to give your stepsister pocket money, hundreds of yuan each time. You're making a fuss over a few tens of yuan. With that, he hung up decisively. No matter how many times I called back, no one answered anymore. I had no choice but to message my mother. Mom, I can't find Dad. It's too cold outside, my clothes and shoes are all wet. Can I come back to your house for a while? This month you're with your father. If you come back now, your stepfather will be angry with me. Mom, then can you lend me some money so I can rent a hotel? Finally, my mother transferred 200 yuan to me, but before I could find a hotel, I caught a fever from the heavy rain. I fainted under an overpass, where an old man who collected scrap, living under the bridge, saved me. Though the old man was poor, he never begged. Every day, after receiving leftover food from the restaurant across the street, he would clean the restaurant's entrance at dawn. In summer, he pulled weeds. In winter, he swept snow. To save me, this time he had to go and ask the restaurant owner for help. Thanks to that, I survived. During the days I lay sick and bedridden, not one of my biological parents came looking for me. It was only when my teachers reported my absence that they realized I was missing. They finally found me under the bridge, but by then, I couldn't speak coherently. When I saw them, I panicked and cried, clinging tightly to the old man's hand, hiding behind him. If you don't come back with me, don't ever come looking for me again. I'll pretend I never gave birth to you. My mother roared furiously, but I clearly saw relief, even hope in her eyes, wishing I would proactively cut ties. My father also said, "It's your choice to follow that old man, don't blame me later." Finally, they decisively left, not leaving even a single penny. Even upon finding me, they showed no joy, only curses. If not for the old man's protection, in my weakened state, I would have been beaten again. They never cared how I lived those days, if I was sick, if I was fed, if I was bullied. They just wanted to abandon me, discard me like trash. I swallowed my tears, silently memorized everything, and swore to myself that I would make their lives a living hell. Grandpa Wen said, "From today on, you are my granddaughter. As long as I live, I will protect you." Thanks to the restaurant owner's help, I earned money for school. I changed my name, no longer Vivian. Grandpa Wen and I took the surname Serenity, and my given name became Wenyu, meaning forget sorrow. During the day, I went to school. At night, I helped the restaurant owner wash dishes. He gave us a place to stay. Though it was just a simple wooden house, every day Grandpa Wen and I were incredibly happy. I gradually learned to speak again and learned to smile again. This street had a night market. As time passed, everyone around loved me. Whenever they saw me, they would greet me. "Wenyu is back. Is Wenyu going to help Grandpa sell scrap again? Let me push that for you." Everyone's kindness rekindled my hope for life. I wanted to change my fate. When I went to college, I was discovered by a talent scout and entered the entertainment industry. Perhaps it was divine mercy, or perhaps it was my own relentless effort. In just a few short years, I rose to become an A-list star, bought a house, and lived with Grandpa Wen. The old restaurant owner, with my financial support, opened many more branches. With such a life, I felt very content. But the terrible father from years ago found me again. "Vivian, Dad found you." That day, I was at a commercial event. As I left, he lunged at me. The face I thought I had forgotten reappeared so clearly, dragging painful childhood memories back like old wounds torn open. The years had worn him down. His once handsome face was now haggard, his clothes ragged, his walk a limp. Just one look told me his life was miserable. A man who once discarded his own child for a life of luxury. How could fate let him live well? My body felt icy cold, chilling me to the bone. After years in the entertainment industry, though my heart was raging, my face remained calm. I suppressed my emotions and said coldly, "Excuse me, sir, you must have mistaken me for someone else." Then my bodyguards pushed him away. I didn't look back as I left, only his mournful shouts echoing behind me. "Vivian, I'm your dad." "Vivian, how can you treat your father like this?" I asked News, my manager, to investigate how he found me. I hadn't been famous for just a day or two. When I was still doing all kinds of variety shows, with commercials flooding TV, they never came looking. Now that I was well known, I rarely participated in entertainment shows, only choosing good film scripts, appearing less and less. Yet, precisely now, he came looking for me. News and I, two young newcomers rejected everywhere, had climbed to the top together. I completely trusted his loyalty and ability. "Leave it to me, I'll investigate immediately. Do you need me to ask the film crew for a few days off for you?" I knew he was worried about me, but to go from having nothing to where I was today, it was all thanks to professionalism. Whether it was diving into freezing water in winter to eat insects or taking on scenes other actresses refused, as long as it led to better results, I did it myself. I shook my head. No need. Don't let personal matters delay progress. But this very decision led to significant trouble. Somehow, he got hold of my schedule. The next day, he showed up in Hengdian. When I finished work and returned to the hotel, I saw him squatting by the door. "Vivian, I finally found you. Why haven't you contacted me all these years? Do you know how worried I was about you?" He was so thin he was distorted, his eye sockets sunken, looking terrifying. Indeed, appearance reflects the heart. Years ago, when he heartlessly abandoned me, he was fair-skinned and handsome. Now, he was skeletal, emaciated. One look and you knew how miserable his life had been these past years. Serves him right. I said coldly, "Excuse me, I don't have a father. My only family in this world is my grandpa Wen. Who are you?" Meeting him again, I was no longer afraid, only disgusted. I was no longer the tiny child wandering in the rainy night, begging for help. I had never been protected by him. As a child at his house, I only got to sleep on the sofa. His two stepsisters, who loved to play, often occupied my sofa. Once, I had a high fever and desperately needed rest, but those two still jumped and played on the sofa. I was truly uncomfortable and finally couldn't bear it. I politely asked them, "Sisters, I have a fever and I'm very tired. Can you let me rest on the sofa for a bit?" Even as a child, I clearly understood that I was not welcome in that house. After eating, I didn't dare to take extra food, only silently ate what was in front of me. If the family cooked chicken, the two stepsisters each got a chicken leg, while I was scolded even for taking a sip of soup. "A stepchild wanting to drink chicken soup, are you worthy? This chicken soup is for my daughters. If you want to drink it, ask your mother to cook it herself. I let you into my house, and you're not grateful, even daring to drink the chicken soup I cooked for my daughters. Who do you think you are?" Such insults filled my entire childhood. Because of this, I became insecure, timid, and afraid of becoming a burden to others. That time, if I hadn't been truly too uncomfortable, I wouldn't have dared to ask them to yield the sofa. As a result, my stepmother immediately chased me out of the house. "You have a fever and dare to come near them. What if you infect them?" My father, seeing his wife angry, quickly joined in to scold me. "This is their house. They play on the sofa every day. They even let you sleep on it when you come. And you still demand more? If you have a cold, go outside and play. Wait until they're asleep before coming in. Don't infect your stepsisters." So I was pushed out into the cold hallway by my own father. I squatted on the ground, curled up, my body burning hot, yet without a shred of warmth. The biting cold permeated my entire being. Finally, a neighbor passing by on her way home saw me, gave me medicine, and knocked on my father's door. When my father opened the door and saw me, his face immediately darkened, clearly angry at losing face. My stepmother stood defiantly and scolded her directly. "What does my family's business have to do with you? If you like meddling in other people's affairs, why don't you take this freeloading child home and raise her yourself?" I didn't want the kind person to be implicated. Though scared, I still spoke weakly. Dad, don't be angry anymore. She gave me medicine. I won't infect my stepsisters. I'll be good. Please don't kick me out. But in the end, of course, nothing good came of it. Before leaving, the neighbor warned them, "If you continue to abuse children like this, I will report you to the police and have you all put in jail." I knew she was afraid that after she left, my father and stepmother would beat me cruelly, but the beating was unavoidable. The only difference was that this time they didn't hit me, they used needles to stab me. The dense pinprick marks were very hard to detect, causing me to have continuous nightmares for days whenever I saw a horror scene in a movie later on. Vivian, I know you still hate me, but at that time I had no other choice. No other choice, my foot? If he hadn't mentioned it, I would have almost forgotten that woman used my father's money to buy her daughters all kinds of beautiful dresses. I only needed to lightly touch them to be beaten black and blue. The two children learned from the adults, pointing fingers and scolding me. "You freeloader, your hands are filthy. Go eat out of the trash can. How dare you touch my dress and get it dirty? Can you even afford to pay for it?" Yes, I couldn't afford it. They learned piano, dance, and painting. I, on the other hand, had to endure all sorts of humiliation just to afford school fees. Every day, all you know is asking for money. What's the point of going to school? Don't your teachers even know your family situation? Can't they apply for subsidies for you? He even threw just 124 yuan in my face, along with 4 rolling coins. I suppressed my tears, but he slapped me so hard. "Your cheek is swollen and you still dare to cry. I've given you food and clothes. What more do you want? If you dare to cry, get out and die of hunger and cold." I spent my entire life trying to forget those memories, but as soon as I saw him, everything resurfaced as clearly as if it were yesterday. Just one more look at him filled me with disgust. I coldly reiterated, "Don't cling to me. I'll say it again, I don't have a father." But it wasn't that easy to cut ties. As soon as news entered the room, he reported, "He's putting up a banner in front of the hotel. Serenity Wonyu is unfilial, neglecting her biological father, disloyal, and has even set up a tent to cling to you." In Hengdian, a place full of reporters, paparazzi, and live streamers, how could they miss this scandal? I looked out the window, saw the situation outside, and instinctively rubbed my forehead, sighing. It wasn't that I was afraid of him. I just didn't want to confront those dark memories again. "News, what did you find out?" He handed me a folder. "Your father is truly one of a kind scumbag." Without even looking, I could imagine. His face was full of sarcasm and disdain. All these years, he poured his efforts into raising his stepwife and her 2 daughters. When those 2 daughters graduated from college, they took their biological mother to Beijing and conveniently cut off contact with this cheap father, not even leaving an address. Your father suffered a huge shock, searched for them in Beijing many times but couldn't find them. After that, he fell into gambling until he lost everything, drowning in debt. I smiled coldly, thinking to myself, he's definitely looking for money, but I still didn't understand. I'd been famous for so many years, so why was he only coming now? Was it because he felt a little guilty before, not daring to appear before me? Later, I realized I had overthought it. Yes, it was simply for money. News continued. When it comes to raining on someone's parade, he's number 1. Go on. Probably couldn't find you before. Maybe he didn't recognize you. Maybe he was also afraid of hurting you, so he observed and looked for an opportunity. After all, he's your biological father, yet he couldn't recognize his own daughter. Last month, when you took Grandpa Wen to that TV show, an old photo was broadcast. A picture of you as a child with Grandpa Wen. Perhaps it was that photo that made him recognize you. One can hardly blame Grandpa Wen, a mischievous 80-year-old man. When he knew his idol would be on the show, he insisted on participating. How much does he owe? News quickly sat closer, his voice anxious. You're not planning to give him money, are you? If you give him money once, there will be many more times. I made a stopping gesture, looking at him as if he were an idiot. Calm down, I'm not crazy. I'm just calculating how much money it would take to put him in jail for a few years. Illegal gambling doesn't necessarily mean jail time. I sighed, helpless. Is this still the shrewd manager I once knew, who navigated the business world? If it's fraud or extortion, that's different. News's face revealed a cold smile. Looks like one of you is about to make her move again. I didn't bother to pay attention to him, telling him to bring my father up. Why haven't you contacted me all these years? Do you know how worried I was about you? His voice was filled with fake concern and pain. I didn't look for you. Didn't you abandon me that year? My voice was cold, devoid of emotion. To me now, he was less than a stranger. I only wished he would never appear before me again. This life, the next life, every life thereafter. How can this child talk like that? That year you ran away from home. I was frantic looking for you. I looked at him, my heart as cold as ice. Do you say that without your conscience hurting? Even now, he was still playing the hypocrite. I miss you very much. I'm old now, I just want to live beside Vivian. Live with me? Didn't he once complain I was a nuisance? Now he wanted to be by my side. I laughed coldly. Are you worthy? I'm very busy. Say what you need to say quickly. I've been through too much. Anyone who tries to play emotional games with me now just makes me sick. Vivian, I don't have a place to stay now. Give me some money to stay in a hotel, or we can talk after you're done. Truly instant karma. I said indifferently, I have nothing to say to you. When you abandoned me to fend for myself, we no longer had any relationship. Vivian, I'm talking to you nicely. Don't be unreasonable otherwise. Finally, his true colors showed. This was his real nature. Otherwise what? I raised an eyebrow and asked. He flashed a sinister smile. Otherwise, I'll tell everyone what kind of person you are. Don't think changing your name can erase the past. I laughed coldly to myself. Did he think that would scare me? If the suffering I endured were exposed, at most I'd receive more pity from the public. But it wouldn't affect me in the slightest. I just hated being pitied. Seeing my silence, he thought I was scared. His tone became smug. Vivian, no matter what, I'm your biological father. Blood ties cannot be severed. Your money is my money. You have money but won't give it to your biological father. Are you planning to support that old man instead? News came and sat beside me, gently patting my hand as if reminding me to calm down. I took a deep breath, smiled, and asked, So, how much do you want? His eyes lit up. 30 million, he shouted, as if afraid I wouldn't hear clearly. 30 million? Truly, he opened his mouth like a lion devouring the sky. 30 million wasn't an unaffordable sum for me now, but why should I give it to him? To dream such a wild dream in broad daylight, wasn't he afraid of being struck by lightning? 30 million, huh? I scoffed. I don't care how much you demand. You're a big star now. There are plenty of men willing to spend money on you. That little bit of money is nothing to you. Mr. Fee, watch your mouth. But he wasn't angry. Instead, he slowly said, You should think carefully. If you don't want to be called ungrateful by netizens for abandoning your biological father, if you don't want your rich young lady image to be shattered, then hurry up and prepare the money. Netizens don't care about the truth, they just love drama. Think carefully. I stared at him, my gaze icy. No need to think. Not a single cent will you get. That year you abandoned me, leaving me to live or die, we severed ties then. Now you dare to extort me? You're dreaming in broad daylight. If you try anything, I'm afraid you won't be able to bear the consequences. For years, I had avoided mentioning my background. Not because I wasn't from a rich family in my heart, background wasn't important. As long as I was strong enough, I was my own prestigious family. But because I didn't speak out, people made all sorts of guesses. Some said I was a common girl who rose through self-effort, others that I was a rich young lady or a second-generation wealthy individual. I never clarified. After I had money, I tried to repay all the neighbors who had helped me. Seeing that I didn't mention it, they also never revealed my background. Therefore, the public assumed I was a genuine rich young lady. Now, if he exposed my background, the media would surely exploit it to the fullest. Even if my painful childhood memories were exposed, public opinion might not necessarily side with me. Because they love to see goddesses fall, they love to stand on the moral high ground to criticize, and they love to tear down idols who were once high and mighty. I knew it all. They didn't care what the truth was, only how exciting the drama was and what kind of spectacle they wanted. It's fine, just let it be. News didn't understand what I was waiting for. Only I knew that if my father had come, my mother would soon appear. If it was going to explode, let it explode completely. Then we'd see who would truly be destroyed. I didn't have to wait until the next evening. I was already pushed to the top of the hot searches. Serenity Wonyu, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Serenity Wonyu, an inhumane monster who abandoned her biological father for money. Serenity Wonyu, a thick-faced, shameless, fake, rich young lady. The top 3 positions on the hot search list were all my name. Did they think they could force me to concede this way? How foolish. I simply posted a brief apology letter on Weibo. Apologies for wasting public resources. I hope everyone will focus on more important matters. It was a very bland apology, even seen as proof that I had faked my identity, but that was exactly what I wanted for the storm to grow even larger. The stronger the wind, the easier the trash would be swept away. As I stepped toward the hotel entrance, a crowd of reporters swarmed me, shoving microphones in my face. Ms. Serenity, is this your biological father? Did you change your name to pretend to be a rich young lady? You're already successful. Why won't you support your biological father? Aren't you afraid of being struck by divine retribution for being unfilial? One reporter questioned loudly. No need for evidence. The truth is plain for all to see. I calmly responded, what is the truth in your mouth? Is it fabricated news that doesn't need verification? Do you know that these actions are slander, causing serious damage to my honor and mental well-being? You will be held responsible for all losses. I didn't use empty phrases like reserving the right to sue, but directly and firmly counterattacked. I wouldn't give those who harmed me any opportunity. I have never been a soft persimmon for others to crush. Leaving room for retreat for a later meeting, all that is nonsense. If someone wants to harm me, should I preserve an opportunity for them to harm me again? But the eyes of those around were full of disdain. They thought I was putting on an act. I didn't care. I was waiting for my mother to appear, while he continued to wait patiently. For a while, he disappeared. I wondered, had I misjudged him? After all, he did once give me 200 yuan. But then, a self-proclaimed expert, a lawyer, appeared online, offering a professional explanation of whether I should support my parents if there were no official documents severing our blood ties and no public announcement in the media. Children still have an obligation to support their parents. This single statement stirred up a storm among netizens, but I maintained my usual detached attitude. Immediately after this news spread, my mother's side made a move, and her demands truly left me speechless. At least my father was acting for himself. She was acting for that cheap son of hers. I don't know how my mother got my address. She brought her son and stormed straight over. News reported it to me, his voice still excited. Wonyu, your mother is here. She's in the lobby downstairs. I scoffed. Sure enough, with people like them, you should never harbor any hope, just throw out a little bait and they'll bite immediately. Seeing my silence, News awkwardly tried to say something. I spoke up. Go on, say what you need to say. Don't act like a bullied daughter-in-law. It doesn't suit you. I still prefer you with a bottle of wine, ready to fight. Seeing my teasing, News didn't hold back either. Your mother also brought that cheap stepbrother. Thinking of his round, greasy face from childhood, I felt nauseous again. When the receptionist received my approval, she rushed in and knelt directly in front of me. Vivian, Mom was wrong. Mom truly knows her mistakes. As soon as she entered, she launched a critical blow, wanting to end it with one strike. I stepped aside, gracefully walking on the new lambskin heels gifted by a brand, casually sitting on the sofa with no intention of helping her up. How ridiculous. When I was starving for every meal, my biological parents wished they could stay as far away from me as possible. Now they were racing to say I was their treasure. News, with his sharp tongue, scoffed and said to the woman kneeling by the glass window, Madam, it's not the Lunar New Year today. There's no need for such a grand ceremony. If you do immoral things, no matter how much you kowtow, you won't escape being struck by lightning. My mother awkwardly stood up and waved to the son who came with her. He had an even rounder face than before, his eyes leering and greedy as he looked me up and down. Uninvited, my mother led him to sit on the edge of the sofa, feigning pitiful subservience. I gave a cold, faint smile. This weak, pitiful act, I needed to remember it well. It would be very useful for my future acting roles. Mom knows she was wrong. Mom went to look for you, but the teacher said you had transferred schools. Mom even went to the underpass to look for you but didn't find anyone. So you lived comfortably and carefree for the past 20 years, I coldly interrupted. No, no, that's not it, she stammered. If not, then what? My mother seemed a little smarter than my father. She didn't rush to demand money, but instead played the emotional card, asking earnestly and considerately. Vivian, I don't ask for anything. I just want to know if you're living well. Watching her act so convincingly, I almost felt embarrassed for her. Very well, if you hadn't shown up, I'd be even better. My mother wasn't stupid. From the moment my father's scandal broke, she had guessed that I was now a famous star, worth a considerable sum. But she hadn't rushed to appear, waiting to see if my father succeeded in getting money. If he did, she would then step forward. But after hearing the lawyer on the internet explain that I had a duty to support my parents, she couldn't wait any longer. She appeared immediately. Hearing me say that, my mother froze. In her head, she must have imagined that I would be moved to tears, throwing myself into her arms, calling her Mom. Because years ago, what I craved most was a mother's embrace. Vivian, Mom knows you resent me, but you are my flesh and blood. How could I not love you? Mom truly knows she was wrong. Mom is truly very regretful. Mom went to look for you. Her voice trailed off under my piercing gaze. Truly know your mistakes? If you knew your mistakes, how could you tell nothing but lies? The underpass where I stayed and the snack street where my mother appeared were only separated by one road. If she truly wanted to find me, how could she not? Moreover, that year, I even saw her happily walking through the snack street with that cheap son of hers. That cheap son was gorging himself at the night market, his face covered in grease. Kind parents, filial children. Truly repenting, even a ghost wouldn't believe it. How much money do you all want? I asked with a calm smile. My smile was widely recognized as beautiful, once voted one of Asia's most healing smiles. But today, that smile was filled with hatred. The room suddenly fell ominously silent. Both my mother and News were astonished. Only the dough-faced man still looked at me with blatant, greedy eyes. What? My mother tried to remain calm. Ask how much money. Aren't you here to ask for money? I retorted. Caught off guard, my mother quickly denied it. No, Vivian, I'm not here to ask for money. I coldly cut her off. If you're not here for money, then there's nothing left to say. Please leave. Besides money, what else is there to discuss between us? I actually wanted to talk about conscience, but did they even have one? News immediately gestured to dismiss them. I stood up, preparing to return to my room. Seeing this, my mother quickly called out, Vivian, Vivian. I coldly sat back down and said, Go on. Mom just wants to ask for some money to buy a house for your brother. He's grown up, but still can't get married. Everyone says our family is poor and can't afford a house for a wedding. Mom isn't greedy. I'm only asking for 4 million yuan. My brother, a person I didn't even acknowledge. I truly regretted being curious about why they were asking for money. It was truly nauseating to the core. I looked at them as if they were strange creatures. On your way here, did you lose something? My mother fumbled, checking her pockets. No, I didn't lose anything. You lost your brain, I replied coldly. It took a while for my mother to realize I was mocking her. She became angry. What kind of disrespectful child are you? How dare you speak to your elders like that? Disrespectful? I scoffed. If I don't even have a mother, where would I learn to respect elders? Unable to coax me, my mother's demeanor changed. The lawyer said that if the mother-daughter relationship isn't officially severed, then you have a duty to support your mother. It doesn't matter if I didn't raise you. The law dictates that you must support your mother. What kind of star are you? You don't even have basic common sense. Now you must buy a house for your brother, otherwise. Before she could finish, the dough-faced man interrupted. Don't talk to Vivian like that. Vivian, don't be scared, I'll protect you. Hearing, I'll protect you, I almost vomited last night's dinner. I coldly scoffed. My brother doesn't even have parents. How can a cheap stepbrother like you want to be my brother? Look in the mirror first. Are you worthy? My mother, seeing her beloved son provoked, quickly jumped to his defense. Vivian, you shouldn't talk to your brother like that. The dough-faced man wasn't angry either. He mumbled, You and I aren't blood relatives. It's better for water to flow within the family than outside. Instead of marrying an outsider, why don't you marry me? Your dowry would at least stay within our hands. I almost burst out laughing. Where did this lunatic crawl out from? My mother nodded in agreement. Right, right, your brother is right. No need to buy a house, just transfer all the houses under your name to your brother. I said he lost his brain, which was putting it mildly. He was meticulously calculating, but with me, he was dreaming. Where did they get the confidence to think they could control my actions? If they dared to force me, based solely on so-called blood ties, I swore I would send them straight to a mental hospital. Mom, I'm sorry I didn't raise you well, which led to you being caught by the police for acting out in high school. I coldly cut her off. Enough, get out of my house. I can consider the money, but if you dare to reveal any information about me, I will make your entire family pay the price. My voice, cold as ice, echoed like a demon escaped from hell. The dough-faced man quickly hid behind my mother. Get out. As soon as they left, I immediately hugged News. Her face was as pale as a sheet of paper. News was not just my manager, but also the niece of the snack street owner. We had been friends since childhood. Don't be scared, it's all over now. News flinched, turned to look at me, forcing a smile, but her eyes were empty and lifeless. In my senior year of high school, a thug targeted me. He often harassed me on my way home, and once even cornered me in a narrow alley. I told News to go back and get help, truly because I was afraid she would get hurt. After being abandoned by my parents, I no longer felt safe. I didn't study any martial arts, but the noodle shop owner on the snack street taught me a few moves. Against hooligans, I might not gain the upper hand, but if I managed to grab one, I would drag them down with me, no matter the cost. But I didn't want News to follow me, fearing she would get hurt. I told her to find someone. Unexpectedly, halfway there, News felt uneasy and returned. When she came back, I was using a brick to smash the thug's head. I myself was not in much better shape. News, holding a broken beer bottle, charged into the group like a madwoman. The hooligans were truly scared because in life, the reckless fear the tough, and the tough fear the desperate. And two desperate girls, who would dare touch them? Seeing them panic and flee made it clear. But this incident also left a future threat, becoming a deep secret in my heart for many years. If not for that, I could have unreservedly thrown my mother and that cheap brother out. Everything they owed me, I wanted back. Why should I be lenient? But because of that incident, I began to waver. I was unwilling to let them off, but also worried. My mother was very confident, sure that she could use this incident to threaten me. She didn't know how important News was to me. I decided to take a gamble. After that, I arranged for host Kevin from a mediation show to invite them. People in the industry thought host Kevin and I were at odds. It was an old company tactic to create buzz. In reality, we were very close friends. They happily agreed to participate because everyone knew host Kevin and I were rivals. They thought that through someone like host Kevin, they could easily extract greater benefits. Backstage, I asked host Kevin to deliberately arrange my dressing room near my mother's. Without pleasantries, I directly warned my mother. I've agreed to participate. If you dare to utter a single word about that incident, don't blame me for being ruthless. My mother scoffed. Hey, if you'd just given me the money earlier, why would I drag this out onto a show? But now the price has gone up 30 million. You can't let me lose to your father, can you? I hold your big secret after all. I smirked, continuing to prod. What makes you so sure that incident can still threaten me? It's old news, who cares? My mother was smug. Old is old, but it still works. You're a national goddess now. If people know you were once disgraced, do you think your image can still stand? Who would like a woman who has been defamed? Indeed, that woman was rotten to the core, so I didn't need to be polite anymore. After confirming everything, I prepared to make my move. The show began. They indulged in their pitiful tales. My mother, with tears streaming, recounted how difficult life was after divorcing my father years ago, but she still persevered in raising me. No matter how hard it was, I brought one of you along. But because I was a stepmother, there were inevitably times I favored my own child. One of you misunderstood that I didn't love her. Is there any mother in this world who doesn't love her own child? I cared for her like my own. It's just that she was stubborn from a young age. She didn't play with her two twin stepsisters and always bullied them. As a father, I naturally had to be fair. Ridiculous. Two 12-year-olds being bullied by an 8-year-old girl. As I instructed, host Kevin neither exposed nor refuted them, allowing them to act out freely. Only then, when the truth was revealed, would people be even more enraged, pushing them into a situation of severe public backlash. Being attacked on social media is not easy. Even if you're not a star, a tarnished reputation will make daily life miserable. Being scolded in the market, pointed at by neighbors, difficulty finding jobs, even being splashed with paint or assaulted. Some might say I was petty. I didn't care. I felt I was not wrong. I wondered how many of the netizens currently cursing me had joined in the online abuse against me during that time. The internet was flooded with accusations of me being unfilial, greedy, and fake. From a national goddess, I became the most shameless person, the one who deserved salvation the most, yet was discarded. All I did was repay evil with evil. Finally, after their pathetic performance, the show moved to the next segment, confirmation of blood relations. As soon as it started, my mother immediately rushed to hug me. "My daughter, you've suffered so much." Afraid of getting my clothes dirty, I immediately pushed her away, not hiding the disgust in my eyes. I coldly declared, "I refuse to acknowledge any kinship." My father couldn't bear it and shouted, "My blood flows in your veins. By what right do you refuse? I worked so hard to raise you. You just left, and for 20 years you didn't come home. Has your conscience been eaten by dogs?" My mother also cried out, "I carried you for 10 months, gave birth to you. I changed your diapers, breastfed you. How can you be so heartless as to not acknowledge your mother?" They tried to put on the act of loving, pitiful parents. I silently gave host Kevin a knowing look. He immediately understood. "Uncle, madam, please calm down. Let's connect with the audience outside the studio to hear what people have to say." The person connected was a young man, ordinary in appearance but very articulate. His nickname was Yin Nuo. "Hello, Yin Nuo. What are your thoughts on this story?" Yin Nuo indignantly said, "Serenity Wonyu was born to her parents after all. To pretend to be a rich young lady, she changed her name. Ungrateful, unfilial, abandoning her parents, no person with a conscience would do such a thing." Sure enough, host Kevin chose exactly the kind of ignorant person to speak. I smiled. Yes, a person with a conscience wouldn't do that. But an ordinary adult who judges others based solely on internet rumors, I advise you to eat more walnuts to boost your brain. How can you talk like that? You did wrong and you're still so arrogant." What did I do wrong? Yes, I changed my name. Yes, I don't acknowledge my biological parents. Seeing the young man's words seemed reasonable, my parents revealed smug expressions. I also smiled, a smile directed at an idiot. "You think that changing my name and disowning my parents means I have no conscience? Then how do you explain the orphans abandoned by their parents who are raised by others? Wouldn't a spit from each person be enough to drown you?" I turned to stare at my parents, each word like a nail being hammered in. "Do you dare to swear before heaven and earth that you never abandoned me?" They fell silent. Host Kevin smiled and chimed in, "Yes, Mr. Fee, how did Serenity Wonyu leave you two back then?" The entire studio erupted. People were initially there to see a fallen goddess, but no one truly cared about the truth. They stammered, unable to say a word. If I weren't standing there, they could still fabricate stories about me leaving home on my own accord. But now I was here. I wanted to drag them down into the mud with me. The crime of abandoning their own child had to be known to the whole world. Don't talk about useless things. We're here today to talk about reconciliation. My mother quickly tried to salvage the situation. "What's done is done. Let's not bring it up again." You want to use the past to erase all your crimes? Dream on. I pulled out my phone and posted the old photos on Weibo. The messages where they kicked me around like a ball in the rain, no one willing to take me home. Those were the last memories my grandmother left me. I had always cherished them, and today they saved me one more time. "Grandma, are you protecting me from heaven?" For the first time since the incident erupted, I retaliated head-on. I stepped in front of my father, opening my counterattack. "Your so-called love and nurturing? That's when I had a high fever. You, out of fear of infecting your new wife, directly kicked me out of the house. If not for the neighbor across the street, I might have frozen to death in the hallway." The director immediately played a clip recorded by that neighbor years ago. Poor child, skinny as a cat, always bullied by her two stepsisters, and her father just ignored it. Everyone says stepfather, stepmother. One time I came home and saw the child shivering, huddled on the cold staircase. I touched her. She was burning hot. I quickly gave her medicine and knocked on her father's door. But they ignored it. They even told me if I cared so much, I should take her in myself. If I hadn't threatened to call the police, they probably wouldn't have even opened the door. My father tried to rush forward several times to stop it, but was blocked by the security guards. The recording continued to play. Old memories resurfaced once again. I closed my eyes, suppressing the tears welling up, then walked towards my mother, looking straight into her eyes. I loved you so much, only wishing for a hug. Even just a word of praise, I would endure any hardship. But are you worthy of being a mother? I was only 8 years old then. Your new man hit you and I bravely shielded you. But what did you do? At this point, my throat choked up and I had to swallow hard to continue. You threw me to him, then ran into the room and locked the door. I was beaten to near death. I screamed for help, for you to save me. Even if you were afraid of him, you could have called the police, but you did nothing. My mother's face showed no remorse. Instead, it flashed with hatred. Her eyes seemed to say, if I can't live in peace, don't expect to either. Even now, she still wanted to threaten me. The audience below the stage had grown noisy. Because this program was being live-streamed, many people were watching. Some audience members on stage couldn't restrain themselves and stood up, cursing. Staff had to signal for everyone to calm down. I returned to my seat and continued. I was missing for 7 days. If not for my teachers noticing my absence and calling my family, you wouldn't have even known I had disappeared. Did you ever care about whether I lived or died? When you found me, did you ask me what I had endured during those 7 days? Never. If Grandpa Wen hadn't intervened, you would have beat me to death that day. I didn't come home because, in your eyes, I was just a burden to be pushed back and forth. I wandered the streets in the rain, without a penny, without shelter. I begged you to take me in, but no one agreed. Finally, I fell seriously ill, fainted under the overpass. If not for Grandpa Wen saving me, I would be dead on the streets right now, just as you wished. Yet now you put on this show of reunion. Is it because you want to take me back, or because you want my money? I pointed at my father. He wants me to pay his gambling debts. The moment he opened his mouth, he demanded 30 million. I pointed at my mother. And she wants me to pay for a house and wedding for her cheap son, not hesitating to use my emotional wounds to threaten me. Do you two even deserve to be parents? In my eyes, you're worse than animals. You're lying, don't believe her, my parents quickly retorted. Host Kevin maintained his polite smile and pressed. Didn't you two say you were simply seeking a reunion, asking for nothing? Why does it now seem like you abandoned your child and are brazenly demanding money? In the live stream room, comments exploded, praising host Kevin for his eloquent questioning. My father stammered, I am her biological father. Her life was given by me. She has a duty to support me. Yes, we're all family. What's the difference between mine and yours? Online comments erupted. Some apologized to me, others cursed my parents. Some even said the whole world owed Serenity Wonyu an apology, but I didn't care because those who caused all this had not yet received their punishment. The audience below the stage began to lose control. Some even threw water bottles onto the stage. A comment in the livestream read, "Who will beat these two scum to death? I'll pay 1 million." My father furiously yelled, Serenity Wonyu changing her name is useless. We haven't severed ties. She's still my daughter. She must give me money. I coldly replied, not a single cent. In stark contrast to the initial curses, now everyone sided with me. No one called me greedy for money. No one called me cold-hearted anymore. My mother, scolded to the point of losing control, shrieked, revealing her trump card. Don't believe her. She's a bad girl. In high school, she was caught by the police, raped by someone. She's stained. The entire room fell silent. Even host Kevin was stunned. He was about to cut the live stream, but I stopped him. Since the matter has been dragged out, might as well see it through. Otherwise, it will only cause more trouble later. Yes, I was once taken to the police station, I calmly admitted, then took slow steps towards my mother. But that was because I desperately fled from my attacker. Did I do anything wrong? Was being raped my fault? I was the victim. You knew about it, yet you didn't seek justice for me. You didn't comfort me. Instead, you used it to threaten me, to force me to give you money. When you couldn't threaten me anymore, your true colors showed. You publicly exposed this, pushing me into hell. Are you even human? I spoke clearly, enunciating every word. I, Serenity Wonyu, act with integrity, not ashamed before heaven or earth. I'm not afraid of this being exposed. Just then, News rushed onto the stage. I was startled. Hadn't I told him to wait at home? I quickly ran to stop News, but he pushed me away with all his might, snatching the microphone from my mother's hand. I struggled to stand up, yelling, "News, no!" But it was too late. The one who was raped that year wasn't me, it was News. That year, the thugs I severely beat hated me to the core, always looking for an opportunity for revenge. That day, I was at a physics competition, not at school. When I returned to the snack street, News hadn't come back and no one answered her calls. I had a very bad feeling, so I grabbed a stick and rushed straight to the thugs' hangout. I called the police as I went, but I was still too late. When I arrived, News's school uniform was torn, her bra pulled down, her skirt stained with blood. I went insane, wielding the iron stick, beating them desperately as if I wanted to kill them. At that moment, I had only one thought: I must kill all these beasts. The police arrived, and the ringleader was severely injured by my beating. That was a debt I owed News. I couldn't bear that pain for him, but public opinion let me bear it for him. Moreover, everything originated from my parents. Yet today, to protect me, News had revealed the truth. My eyes turned bloodshot. The feeling of fighting to the death from that year surged back. I slowly stood up, step by step, approached News, and snatched the microphone from his hand. My eyes were cold as a demon's, wishing I could burn those two people on the spot. "I swear I will make your lives a living hell." Host Kevin knew my temperament and quickly signaled the director to cut the mic. So my last sentence was unheard by the audience. After this, I began a large-scale revenge plan. My emotions had reached their peak. Now was the time for real action. I hired a large number of online trolls and marketing accounts, unleashing a storm of attacks on my parents. I also spent money to suppress all news about News, protecting his reputation. In the entertainment industry, a rival once mocked News's situation. I didn't hesitate to seize all his resources. Even without compensation, even if I was so busy I had no time to sleep, I was determined not to let him off. If anyone dared to gossip, I would fight them to the end. Under the guidance of public opinion, my parents were indeed utterly condemned. I also tracked down the addresses of my father's two stepsisters, dragging them down with him. Their homes were vandalized with paint, funeral wreaths were sent to them, and they faced public scorn. They tasted every bitter flavor. I handed over all the video and audio recordings of my parents' attempted extortion to the police. Even though the extortion wasn't successful, the conspiracy to extort money still warranted jail time, plus charges of child abuse and defamation. The court combined the charges, sending them all to prison. The two stepsisters were also implicated, lost their jobs, and had to compensate the company for damages. That dough-faced cheap stepbrother had even stalked me. I beat him until his face was bruised and handed him over to the police. My mother in prison couldn't bear it, threatening suicide to request a meeting with me. I went. Again, I saw her kneeling at my feet, weeping and begging. "Vivian, no, one of you, please release your mother. This isn't a place for living people. I'm beaten every day, forced to drink urine." In just over a month, she had withered to a skeletal figure. Seeing my silence, she shrieked, "Years ago, Mom gave you 200 yuan. It was your father who didn't care if you died." I leaned close to her ear and whispered, "So you only have to go to jail." As for him, my father was tormented by his cellmates, forced to feign madness, and then transferred to a mental hospital. And a mental hospital is 1,000 times more terrifying than a prison. I had dealt with all of them, but I still didn't feel happy. An unhappy childhood had left me with permanent, unhealable wounds. People often say that among 100 good deeds, filial piety comes first. But a child's filial piety must be born from a parent's love. If they never loved their child, on what basis can they demand the child love them back? Love, whether it's familial love or romantic love, needs to be reciprocal. If it's only one-sided demands and exploitation, then don't let so-called morality bind you. To love others, one must first know how to love oneself. After leaving the detention center, I invested 60 million yuan to establish a small charity fund, specializing in helping children abandoned by their parents or relatives. I hope that in a world full of darkness, there will be a small ray of light to guide these children toward their future.